5G. Pixel 4a with 5G is the budget-friendly, super-fast phone. Pixel 5 is the ultimate 5G Google phone, giving you help at hyperspeed. Get protection with the Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel 5. Stay secure with the Titan M chip, guaranteed updates for 3 years, and anti-phishing and malware protection. Make more memories. The cameras include new ultra-smooth panning with cinematic pan, in addition to features such as night sight that now works with portrait mode, live HDR+, and portrait light, which adds studio-quality light to your portraits. And now with 5G, you can do Duo HD screen sharing. Entertainment is a breeze. With 5G, you can download a movie in seconds, enjoy smooth streaming, and play your favorite games. Be more productive with Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel 5. It has Google Assistant to help you control apps with your voice, or it can even screen calls for you. With an all-day battery that can last up to 48 hours with extreme battery saver, fast charging, and a powerful hotspot that can connect multiple devices, Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel 5 will keep you going throughout your day, no matter what that may look like. Putting the G in 5G with the new Pixel 4a with 5G and Pixel 5.
Operation. So next up is the battery share, which is basically what you can do with wireless charging. Now you have to enable the option, which is battery share over here. If I just open up the option, you can see over here, and they stop battery when phone reaches a certain percentage. I've got it at 10%. So now if I just put the phone down and put my S10 Plus, it's sometimes a little bit sensitive as to where it actually picks up. I think that's either to do with the S10 Plus or even to do with the Pixel 5. But it does charge. It's just, there you go. You can see it then picking up. Something a little bit easier is my Libertone Track Air Plus, and you can see right there that is accepting a charge. So it's charging my true wireless earbuds. If I get it off, you can see that the indicator goes off. So yes, you can wirelessly charge, and yes, it does work, and there's no issues whatsoever with doing that. You do feel a little bit of warmth, just bear that in mind with its all aluminium design. Now next up we've got speakers. Well, there are two speakers as far as I'm aware. There's a downward firing right speaker over here, and there's another one which is positioned somewhere over here under the display. As far as I'm aware, that's what I found when I put my ear towards the smartphone, because there's no speaker grill at the top or anything like that. So here I've got my friend's song called Falling by Priya J. I'm just going to play a little bit of this and then play it on my S10 Plus. And now with the S10 Plus. So what I will say subjectively as an audiophile myself is that the smartphone itself has, well, tinny speakers. Upon first impressions, the speaker over here doesn't sound too great, and the one underneath it, well, is downward firing, so if you're going to be holding it in your hand, it's going to be, well, covered up from that. Regardless of that, the sound is a little bit tinny, the bass is somewhat subdued, and it just doesn't sound as lifelike as my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. And I'm not sure if my microphone picked that up properly, but you should take my word for it for having the phone in person. Now next up we've got the display, which is a 6-inch OLED. Well, what I will say over here is that the display does look really good, and some people have been asking in terms of its uniformity. Well, from uniformity check, I found it to be absolutely incredibly great, and in terms of viewing angles, it's perfect, although there is a very slight tint at extreme angles, a slight yellowish tint at extreme angles, which to be honest with you is very much the case with a lot of OLEDs out there, unless you go to Super AMOLEDs. Now in terms of brightness, the phone will get up to 483 nits in normal mode, as in the maximum brightness shoved all the way to the top, and if you were to reduce the brightness all the way down, it will get down to 2 nits. Then if you are to enable adaptive brightness and shove a light at it, so for example another smartphone light towards the top of the phone, where I think is the sensor, then it will get to 670 nits, which is absolutely outstanding. In terms of its lowest black level, put on maximum or minimum brightness on a full black screen, it gets to 0 nits exactly, and that is no surprise again, given that it's an OLED screen. Super AMOLEDs also perform in this sort of manner. Now I should also say about the display settings. Now you can see over here you've got a mode which has smooth display, and that's to flick between 60Hz toggle and 90Hz, so therefore you can save yourself some battery if you prefer running at 60Hz over 90Hz through certain apps that support it, such as the system. Now as for developer options, for those people who are wondering, if I just go into system and developer options, there is also a mode over here where it enables you to force that 90Hz to be in play pretty much all the time. So you can see show refresh rate, and you've got force 90Hz refresh rate, so you can have that enabled as well. And now what about when it comes to speed? Now you have to bear in mind that I've done already one of the benchmarks, but what about when it comes to real world usage? Well, after using it for about a day after fully setting it up, I must say it's very fluid. I have no issues when it comes to transitioning between apps, and say for example going on Instagram here, pressing a thing, going on there, going back, and then now let's say going onto a game such as Pokemon Go. You can see over here it scales properly, open up, let's say go on a Pokemon and try and catch it. So it just is very fluid. I have no issues when it comes to its performance. And again, that's upon first impressions, and it seems like the huge amount of RAM that's been shoved onto this Pixel 5 is actually a pretty a good thing because, well, it helps it in terms of being fluid with multiple different tabs. So again, like opening up a tab on Totally EV, you can see over here, there's no issues whatsoever when it comes to doing that. So in terms of fluidness and responsiveness, the first impressions that I can give you is that it feels very fluid. I have no issues whatsoever, and qualms of the fact that it's using a lower tier Snapdragon processor over, let's say, a more flagship processor that you'd find in, let's say, my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Now in terms of battery usage, what I've done is just about an hour ago, I plugged it into charge, and you can see right now it's at 85% with very light usage. And over here you can see the battery usage, you can see very little that's been used at the moment, and you can see it's sitting at 85% 1 hour and 17 minutes ago when it was at 100%, and it claims that it's got 22 hours left. Again, first impressions of the battery are okay, but they're not amazing in comparison to some of its competitors. For example, the S10 Plus that I have, even though that's pretty old, I feel that the battery life on the S10 Plus is just slightly better than the Pixel 5. And now we get onto the camera app, which has also been very much requested by a lot of people. Now, in terms of the camera app itself, you can see you've got a variety of different modes. You've got portrait camera, night sight as well, video, and then in terms of the more, you've got panorama, photosphere, slow motion, time lapse, and lens. Now, as for the camera, if you were to zoom out, or zoom, I was just going to zoom in, but if you zoom out, you can see you've got 0.6. Now, you can adjust the slider, and you can see there's a little transition gap as it's switching between the two lenses over here. On the 0.9% and 1%, there's a slight shift, and then you can zoom in all the way to 7%, so just worth bearing that in mind. There's no way of just quickly toggling to make sure that it goes to its default lens, unlike other phones where you've got a little option. At the top over here, you can see you've got the flash, the motion photo if you have to enable it or disable it, the ratio, full or wide crop, so just that to bear in mind. And as for the settings itself, you can see save location, camera sounds, Google lens suggestions, framing hints, selfie suggestions, gestures. In terms of the photo as well, the photo resolution, full resolution or medium resolution, video stabilization is enabled by default, and then you've got the audio zoom as well, so you can see that's options there. Now if I switch to video and do the same thing, if I just go into the settings over here, you can see you've got FHD 60 FPS and 4K 60 FPS. Now it's worth bearing in mind that in the ultra wide mode, you can't do ultra wide mode in 4K 60 FPS, however you can do it at 4K 30 FPS, so you can see over here ultra wide is enabled, and if I go into FHD at 60 FPS and at 30 FPS, you do have the ultra wide mode enabled, so that lens, that sensor, shall I say, is capable of doing that. So 4K 30 FPS for ultra wide. Anything above that, in terms of if you don't want the ultra wide, then you can run it at 4K 60 FPS. You can see the options grayed out. In terms of the settings over here, very much the same thing.
Episode TV, and today we'll take a look at the top 30 unknown features on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. A lot of these features will also work on older versions of Galaxy Note devices, so if you have an older Note device, definitely test it out to see if these features work for you. And as usual, I will have time codes down in the description so you guys can quickly find the features you care most about. And if you guys appreciate video time codes, let me know by dropping a like down below. Typically, when you're using a split screen view with two open applications, you're limited to just resizing the applications, and if you tap the bar, you only get this one option to switch the orientation of the two applications. However, if you open up your side panel, go to settings, and you turn on the apps edge, I'm going to go ahead and go back now. Now if I tap in the middle, you get an extra option, and this is adding an app pair to your app edge. So if I tap this, that's going to shoot over to my app edge. If I swipe open now, I swipe across to my app edge, and scroll down, you'll see that I just added a YouTube and Twitter pair. And as you can see, I already have two other app pairs, so if I tap one of the other ones,